Hey, everybody, this is Gary Kay, and you're obviously watching a special video edition of my Rants and Race podcast today. I'm excited to be joined with Jim Morris, the CTO of, the Hub VC product. First off, T1V is the company, the number one V.com. Hey, Jim, how are you?
Good. How you doing, Gary?
Doing well. We were both in Amsterdam a week and a half ago. It was a great show. It's interesting, lower attendance, but better quality is the universal thought and feedback I've been getting. But your booth was packed. You were in this sort of special little section that's dedicated to collaboration, and y'all were busy, mostly focused around the Hub VC product, which we helped launch back in November. Tell me how the show was for you first.
Yeah, the show was very similar to what you said. You know, there wasn't as much attendance as normal, but we were really covered up. I mean, there was a lot of good people that made it to our booth that were highly interested in our products, you know, our ThinkHub flagship product and also the Hub VC product. So it turned out to be a really good show for us. Yeah.
Well, you know, obviously the end of 2019 was sort of, I don't want to say marked, but etched in this whole concept of interoperability between the video platforms, the UCC platforms. But in reality, it's sort of like letting one platform call into another. It's not true interoperability. However, there's a big movement towards this, the concept of sort of bringing all the platforms together and simplifying it for the use case of making it easier for people to launch into meetings. And that was really the whole point of the Hub VC platform, was that single touch launch into whatever platform you use and then have the same user experience regardless of the platform on the collaboration board, regardless of whether they bought yours or integrated it into somebody else's collaboration board. I know that at the show you learned some things about that, and there were some people that asked questions based on what Barco launched and what some of the other companies out there launched at the show. Talk about that for just a second, specifically with regard to the Hub VC functionality.
Yeah. So so at the show there was there were some new entrants in the market, into this space about what's the best way to get a meeting started in a meeting room. And traditionally there's been kind of the ones that came out the first are the ones that we call kind of the room-based meetings. And these are things like everybody's heard of, Zoom room, the WebEx room, the Teams room, these kind of things. And of course, our product Hub VC fits right into this space. But at the show at ISE this year, there was some new entrants in what we call the BYOM, which is bring your own meeting. And this was kind of started out, and the space started out with things like the Crestron Mercury and the Windows collaboration displays, where you would bring your laptop in the room, you would plug a cable in, and then you would get the microphone, the camera, the display, and the speakers all would connect to your device, and you could host the meeting from your device.
Right. So the idea behind that is that you're using your own, whatever video conferencing software you already had on your own computer, which of course you knew how to use, and you wouldn't have to learn how to use a room.
Yeah, that's right. The idea is, you're already kind of an expert in your own software, and you should be able to use that.
Right.
But what we saw is just to make that kind of a little more convenient and kind of going with the way technology is moving, people have got some entrance into that where you get rid of the cable. So it's wireless connect.
Right.
And this is things like the Barco ClickShare Conference, the Huddle Hub, and even Mersive added a feature into their cloud product that allows you to do that, and kind of, we just want to comment a little bit about kind of some of the advantages and disadvantages for people to think about. One of them, I think while this is a pretty cool solution, it really makes it easy for kind of your IT people to kind of roll this out in an organization, because there's not really a lot of setup and configuration. They just kind of put the hardware in. But what it really does is it means, hey, the end user has to kind of figure out how to use it. They have to make sure they know how to use it. And if they're kind of real tech savvy, it's probably they might not have a problem with this. But if they're not, when they connect or they plug the cable in, they're going to have to make sure, in their video conference tool that they switch to the right camera, they switch to the right speakers, the right mic, the right display. So that's kind of one issue with this, that it might be a little more complicated for some of the end users to pick up. The other thing that we've seen is, you're actually using your device to run the meeting. Right. So it's a little bit hard for you to use it for other things. Like if you want to take notes, or if you wanted to maybe pull up some content to review. So those are kind of the two, kind of main downsides, and the advantage of being easy to deploy. But if you look back on the room-based meeting approach, all of these systems, have a device in the room, and typically the end user, they just walk in, they just hit one button, and it just joins them right into the meeting. So from the end user point of view, it's a little easier to just go in and hit the button and get started. And the thing about your device is you can use that to take notes or do whatever you want with, or pull up content to share, or you don't even need a device. You just walk in and hit the button. So, our view is we kind of feel like this is the one that's going to get kind of the most adoption with end users. And it's one of the reasons that we developed our product in that space, in the RBM, we call it, a new acronym, room-based meetings. But so anyway, so that's kind of what we saw at the show, some new entrants into this other space over here. The one thing that we've also had some research that we've seen lately, it says that, in these enterprise environments, something on the order of about 90% of the people actually want a touchscreen in the meeting room to either collaborate or annotate on. In addition to that, about 80% of those people also want to be able to support multiple video conference platforms, kind of just like exactly what we do in Hub VC. Here we're showing Zoom, WebEx, and Teams, all running, back to back in different meetings. So, all of that kind of really, says, we think Hub VC is going to be a real success in this space, because of what we see people want and the ease of use that's there. So,
yeah. So what's interesting about the BYOM concept is that it's going to either appeal or be a disaster to the IT department, because on one hand, the IT department wants to control all the technology, and you're saying, well, you can bypass the IT department. And on the other hand, that means that the end user has to take care of all the software updates, firmware updates, and changes and compatibility, because as you plug in today, one microphone, you plug it in later, it won't work with the latest version of the software. That's a common thing that I have a problem with, even at our own dedicated video conferencing rooms that we have here, in my own system like I'm using here, where I'm using Zoom to do our video cast. So I see both sides of that. I do see the simplification side. I think it's going to come down to choice. And I think the larger organizations, large corporations are deploying lots of numbers, are going to want the room-based systems. And I think it's possible the smaller organizations or the more nimble organizations where you do have technically savvy users, they're more likely to be interested in the BYOM concept. So I tend to agree with you. The thing that appeals to me about the Hub VC is that you're like, use whatever you want to use, click one button, you're in. And by the way, the user experience is the same. Those are two things I think that are really important, because the end user gets the same user experience regardless of the platform. They press one button to get launched. So they don't really have to think about it. They show up to the meeting and have a meeting, rather than show up to a meeting and calculate connecting everything up. Whether it's wireless or wired, you still have to connect things up and connect the, choose the mic, choose the camera, because especially if you're on a wireless network, it's going to find every mic that's on that network. And if you're on every camera that's on that network, not just the one that's in that room. So I see this as an interesting Band-Aid to the future, which is ultimately full interoperability, which I think is going to be a ways away. I do like the T1V platform a lot.
Yeah, cool. Well, it's good to hear that. And so, we've got some other videos we've done with you that kind of go over all the full feature set.
Yeah, in fact, if you want to go to our video, if you go to our video section of our ISE page, go to raypubs.com/ISE2020. You can see all the videos we shot. Just type in T1V in the video search window. Is there something you want to demonstrate for us real quick?
Yeah. I was going to point out there's some good ones. There was a pre-ISE one that we did and one at the show. So go see both of those if you want kind of the full features. And it goes through all the video conferencing stuff. But I was going to show there's some new features that we just released right after the show. That just kind of tie some things together a little bit. So I was just going to go through those really quickly. And there's some, it might be hard to see, but there's some new icons up here, small icons at the top of the screen. One of them is a calendar icon. So if I just click on that, it lets you just quickly see the calendar, for the room. It's of course shown here, but if I was doing something else, I could just always jump to that really quickly. There's another icon right here, which shows all the AirConnect people that are connected to the screen currently. And you can see Kate is connected right now. And then there's just another one that should have been in there from the beginning, but it's just a simple volume slider and mute button. So you can change the volume. And then one that people have really been waiting for is over here. There's a mail icon. So I could just tap that, and it allows me to take all the content that's on the screen and simply email that out as a PDF file. So,
does it track through the calendar who's in the meeting and go ahead and generate an email with the email addresses of those people that are in attendance of the meeting, by the way?
Yeah, it's gonna have a list here of the different people that are in the meeting, but it's also gonna take the meeting name and automatically put that in the subject. You can just change it if you want.
Yeah.
But and you can put an optional message, body in there if you want also. But it will take either all of the items or just the ones that are currently on the screens with these two buttons, items in the view or all items. So you have a little control over which content exactly you send. But that's a big feature. A lot of people have been waiting for that. So anyway, that one's those are just kind of the few updates that we've just made right after the show. And
are those on your website at t1v.com?
Yeah. If anybody has any questions about it, they can go to t1v.com and get more information about Hub VC, and and get in touch with some of our people here that can hook you up with a lot more information. That's right. Excellent.
So go to t1v.com. Go to the Hub VC section. Of course, if you want to see all the videos we did at ISE, go to ravepubs.com/ISE2020, type in T1V. You can see the pre-show video and the video we did at the show. Jim, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was good talking to you again, Gary.
Great to see you, and thanks for participating in all of our ISE coverage. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.